throat is a bit rough today. Because I think we were discussing some rough subjects yesterday. Rasping subjects, throat grating subjects. We were talking in general about discipline and the type of leadership we had when Babuji Maharaj was with us. I remember I joined the mission in February of 1964. And my first basant was 1966. It was in Babuji's house because there were hardly 1,000 abhyasis in those days. And only about 150 people turned up for basant. So we used to be accommodated in his house. Those of you who have seen his house know his bedroom, then inside courtyard, then services room as it was called, then Lalaji's room. So we used to be about 60, 70 people accommodated like that. And there were only 3 toilets, dry toilets. So we had to wake up at about 3. And there was only one pump, one well, one pump. You have seen that well here. It was a hand pump. So from 3 o'clock it started, And it is amazing how in that cold, before sunrise, the water is warm from the well. If it is tank water, you are dead because it would be freezing. This was actually warm. After you poured it on yourself, it became cold because it's contained in the earth, in the heat. So we had to go to the toilet and then come and quickly bathe in one, say about 10 liters of water. And you couldn't regulate because you had to pour it out over yourself. And then 6:30 was the satsang, but we used to be ready by 4. And we had a front courtyard about this size of this room. This part was not here, And that was the paved part you see again there, which is now paved. And there we had a tent, flat roof tent with what they call the sides, 1 foot open here, 6 feet open there, wind blowing in from all sides. So we would sit on the dari, and in that arch, leaving the first arch, the second arch, next to the pillar, Babuji had his chair. For my first basant, we were about 40, including Babuji. Can you imagine all India attendance? 40 people, including my master. So for that, we used to struggle for proper seats close to him. I mean, the man farthest away was, if Babuji was sitting there, I was here. But the disadvantage was the wind was blowing from that 1 foot open. And by Jove, it was cold. You cannot, in December, January, I'm sorry, because during my experience of Shahjahanpur, the earliest was 16th December and the latest was 12th February. Basant could be anywhere in between. Earlier it was, the more cold it was. So we used to go and sit, have these blankets. In those days, we didn't have these synthetic fill stuff. They were not available. They came much later. So this blanket, put it here, you put it here, tuck it under your thighs, knees. 4 o'clock. And inevitably, because the stone floor you are sitting on is cold, your kidneys began to work, and at 6 o'clock, we'd have to go rush to the bathroom. Rush, come back. In between they had, adjusted themselves comfortably. And you had to sit and squirm into your place. And then at 6:30, Babuji Maharaj would appear, and we had generally 1 hour, It was never less, often 10 minutes more. Talking of samskara, once, somebody was, once I felt so nauseous during the sitting. Felt like vomiting, so I thought I should get up and run away. But somehow I managed to sit through that 1 hour and 10 minutes that day. And I told Babuji what had happened. He said, yes, I saw you sitting there. Who was sitting next to you? And I pointed out. He said, that is the thing, He is very gross. He comes always, and he has this effect on Abhyasi sitting close to him. His grossness, while being cleaned, was coming on you. So I said, if that is going to happen, what is the use of my cleaning myself every morning? He said, no, this is a special occasion. In future, you won't have it. So you see, somebody else's samskara can also affect you. That is why we must have good company, good atmosphere, good environment, congenial to spirituality. No, if I sit, he is my good friend, well, share his good friendship. Share his samskaras, you see. So Basant was like that. Then we all had weak tea, as I told you, which was like water of life. It was all bliss. Once I commented on Babuji, how at the end of Basant, the atmosphere suddenly changed. He said, yes. You can see it is like a blanket Lalaji lays over the atmosphere, over the house, And that gives the special atmosphere. And at the end of this Basant, he just pulls one corner and whisks it off. He says, you see the grace of Lalaji Maharaj. I said, why don't you keep it? He said, I can, but it's no good because this is a special occasion. It is a holy birthday for my master. So it's a very special atmosphere. That's why I request people to come. Why I am saying this, in those bitter, cold days, stone floor without any cement on it, bricks, exactly like what you have got there. And we were happy. Inside my room where I was sleeping, there was a big ventilator on the wall. And because it was a thick wall, I don't know why they didn't have a flat window. It was sloping inside like this, inwards, a 45-degree slope. At night, the wind came in, like a river of cold falling on you. And all we had was a bed of, after the wheat harvest, all the wheat hay was spread on the floor. And the like our blanket, not blankets, that is, cotton. One was spread and we slept on it. And the doors, they were the old primitive doors, planks put together and chinks in between. And then they had a chain with a ring here and which fitted into another ring. So once it was closed, it could open up to here. Wind blowing from there, wind blowing from here. And we were about 32 in my room. Out of 32, 29 at least was snoring all night. And then frequently people getting up to go out to the toilet. It was absolute tamasha. And I became a secretary in 1970. I was made a preceptor in 1967. I joined the mission in 64. I became secretary on Basant Panchami Day 67, a preceptor. And I became general secretary of the mission. I was the first and last general secretary of the mission. And all those years, it went, as if we were going on a trip to heaven. We used to go by train from here, third-class sleeper, my wife and I. And she could not accompany me every year, of course. At Nellore, which is about 100 miles from here, we had a contingent of Abhyasi joining us. In those days, about 32, 35 people. Vijayawada, another 30 or 40 people. Ramagundam, Kazipet, Hyderabad people. Then Nagpur. Then Bhopal, Jhansi, Agra. Everywhere Abhyasi joined. When we left here, we were about 40 Abhyasis. When the train stopped at Delhi, we were almost 600 or 700 Abhyasis. And we used to carry books from here because they were all printed here. Books were all printed and we used to carry them in cartons. And we had to get off at Delhi, go to another train on another platform, sometimes 3 platforms away. We carried them across the tracks, handed over. And once we were 72 passengers, my group from Madras, and 70 cartons of books. when the Kashi Vishwanath train for Banaras, by which we used to travel to Shahjahanpur, came on the platform, it was already packed full. Not one person could have got in. But the head waiter or the head porter, Sardar, he looked at us and said, "What are you all doing standing?" I said, "I want to get into this train." He said, "How many are you?" I said, "We are 72 and we have these books, 70 cartons." He said, "You give me 10 rupees per head, I will push you in." And you won't believe it, he got us all in 5 minutes. Of course, we were standing all the way and the books were in various places. Soon after we left Bareilly, we started conveying the books to the door on all 4 sides, because the train stops in Shahjahanpur for 3 minutes. And by that time, everything had to be offloaded. We were more concerned about the books than the passengers. So, moving the books parcel by parcel, when we came to Shahjahanpur, it was pitch dark, there was no power. And it was winter, of course, so the sun sets at about 4 o'clock. Pitch dark. In that pitch darkness, using small torches, we got everything counted and loaded on rickshaws and went to the ashram. By then the ashram was under construction. In the first 3 or 4 years of our Basant, we held in Babuji's house. 64, 65, 66, 67. 68, we engaged one, what we call Dharamshala, where about 200 people could sleep. By then, the attendance were about 300. Then 68, we had to engage another Dharamshala. By then, because 800 people were now coming. And then till 74, we had only these Dharamshalas and Babuji's house. And then, of course, in 75, the ashram was built and inaugurated. So why I'm telling you all this is because nowadays we are too much used to comfort, good living, hot water, cemented tiled floors, level. We never slept without one corner of a brick poking into our back or body somewhere. Never. We have often slept in the open, in rain, and nobody felt at least discomfort, because there was always somebody more uncomfortable. Now we only see more comfortable people. The first Europeans started coming in 72. Of course, they were the Danes, you see. When it was freezing, they took off their shirts. And they said, "Oh, it's very humid chai, it's too warm," at 0 degrees. So Babuji said, "These people must have been whales in a past life." I said, "Why whales?" Because he said they are in the cold climates. They don't come in warm waters. And then I think it was in 76, by 70, Mr. Devram Chawda of Navsari brought one of the small, Indian boilers, copper boilers. It has about 4 buckets capacity. The first man got hot water. Thereafter, when they poured cold water into it to fill it up, they put out the fire. But, they felt some comfort in drawing water from the boiler, imagining it was hot. And of course, it used to smoke. See. And Babuji got all the smoke because the morning breeze entered into his room. And he used to wake up with his eyes like this, red. He said, "Kya jal raha hai?" I said, "Your boiler." So I remember I suggested buying a bus when the ashram was constructed, buying a small bus to take up abhyasis up and down to the station. He said, "It is a good idea, but I don't like abhyasis to have too much comfort. Then spirituality goes. If you give them a little comfortable bed, they will not get up on time. It's better they should not sleep and benefit spiritually than they sleep and they have no benefit at all. Because the moment you give them one blanket, they are more comfortable than with a cotton sheet. Nice and warm, snugly, And there you are. They should wake up at 4, they wake up at 7:45 after the satsang has ended, and then sheepishly come to Babuji and say, aaj hum miss ho gaye. And they have the cheek to ask, Babuji, will you give me a sitting because I missed the morning satsang? You know, many didn't have even consideration for the Guru, that he had just given an hour's transmission. And you didn't get up, and now you are asking for a sitting to compensate your laziness. It was quite bad, you know, even then. Now it's much worse. Now they actually come and complain and they call me names. What ashram you have, Rev.Chariji? In Switzerland, you know, I said, yes, you have copper gutters in Switzerland. Next you will have gold gutters. So we have to learn how to behave in an ashram. Nobody should complain about the food, because when you eat free, you should take what is provided. And anyway, your maxim says, eat what is put before you with love. In a, you know, attitude of prayer and gratitude that I am getting at least this today, you know. Why at least? Not at least. We provide good food. We have always provided good, nourishing food. Not tasty maybe, not enough salt for your taste, or enough chilies for somebody else's taste, or enough ghee for an Uttar Pradesh person. Because they revel in ghee, these UP fellows, you know. And one consequence was the man who could eat only one roti would take 6. Greed, you know, and you would find a mound of chapatis at the end of the day, rotting, thrown away. Once Babuji wanted to go around and I took him around, he looked at it and he was almost in tears. He said, it takes so much effort to get donations and, you know, feed people. And to look how it is wasted. But I used to announce every time, please take as much as you want, provided you want it. Don't just take because you won't be able to take again. You will get enough food. But fell on deaf ears by and large. So this attitude of refinement that we require, inner refinement, you know, where we should always be conscious of the limitations of a guru to provide material plain comforts, which includes food, sleeping quarters, hot water, you know, congenial company. You cannot choose your companion. No, he snores. I want somebody who doesn't snore. All these things we have forgotten, and we now insist on, you know, good accommodation, mattresses on the floors, mosquito nets. We never had mosquito nets. We were, you know, when we went in the summer, especially mango season, millions of flies by day and millions of mosquitoes by night. I'm not exaggerating. Once a towel like this my wife washed and put out on the wire to dry, and she couldn't find the towel. I went out and I said, there's a towel hanging. She said, it's black. I went near, it was covered with flies. I just shook it and it was my towel, and she insisted on washing it all over again. I said, again it will attract flies. I should let it be. And first visit when I went, Babuji used to sit next to me and use one of these fans. I said, Babuji, you should not be doing this. Babuji said, Dekho, if I don't do it, the fly will go into your mouth while you're eating. And it is true. Nobody bothered. See. What we got, we ate, because the atmosphere was such. It transformed everything. There was a temple nearby. Morning 5:30, ting, 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 you know, bell starts tolling. We never felt disturbed when we were meditating. You understand? We have to develop a culture of respect, of holiness, of piety, which is sorely lacking, especially in the USA. In the USA, they don't think anything of, you know, stretching their legs out in front of the Guru. Their comfort is paramount. Yeah, but I can't meditate if I don't stretch out my legs. There have been some sanstha's here, they would have taken brutal action against such a basis. Have you heard of Anand Marg? If there was a member of Anand Marg who did it, his legs would be chopped off. It is extreme disrespect to show your feet to the Guru. You have seen in the Tamil movies, the man who's with his, you know, dhoti converted into a half pant. Before he enters a senior's room, he lets down the dhoti. It is taboo, absolutely taboo. You can't sit with your back to the Guru. You know, once I made the mistake of sitting without any intention to do it or even knowledge that I was doing it, with my back to the cot on which Lalaji used to sleep. And Babuji said, Dekho, please turn round. I said, why? He said, Lalaji comes here. No back to the Guru, no feet to the Guru. Always. And you see, when you put your own comfort before the Guru's comfort, your quality of food before his quality, and your needs before his needs, we are usurping in some way his position. It's like sitting on the king's throne when the king is not there. You would be beheaded. Once I remember somebody went and sat in Babuji's place. I said, please get out. In his chair, you know. He said, for heaven's sake, Chari, it's a chair. I said, it is my master's chair. He said, what difference does it make? It's a chair, isn't it? Such utterly insensitive, uncomprehending, stupid fellows we have. And they can't be taught because they take offense when we tell them to move out. They take offense at our explanation. He says he's a man too. I said, then why do you come here to meet this man? No? So, especially as they say in America, and to a lesser degree in Europe, where there is still some sense of the holy, you know, some respect for developed people, older people, we have a lot to teach. Our preceptors must talk of these things. We don't. I've seen in one place in the US, the sofa was so soft that when I sat on it, my bottom touched the floor. On that, they put 2 layers of pillows, sat on it, then one under this thigh, one under this thigh, and one for the back, like that. Say. Another girl sat with her back this way, like a dog, and a knee, and sat on one thigh, pushed into her between her thighs. You know, Karate Kid, something like that. Let my listeners not think I'm criticizing. I'm trying to teach. See. Because unless you have the proper attitude, you go to a library, and if you carry a bottle of beer and a packet of cigarettes into the library, no library will tolerate it. It's not allowed. Rauhan verboten you saw yesterday on the book. Why? It is not done. You don't smoke in a church. So we should learn that without the proper attitude, you know, I remember in this movie called the 42nd Chamber of Shaolin or something, this tiny, small upstart, you know, who wants to go forward very fast. He's not able to master the tricks of the trade, but he wants to move from chamber to chamber. He one day barges into the chamber of the highest level. And that fellow just looks at that old Chinaman, you know, about 90 years old with a wisp of a beard and strings for his mustache. He just said like this, you know, and that fellow goes flying 40 meters. We don't manifest these things. We are not permitted to, even if we have it. But such can be the consequences of disrespect, of disobedience, of asking for too much. You know, if you read the novel David Copperfield by Charles Dickens, there's this Fagin, and you know, the school for pickpockets. And one wants a little more food in the morning. With great courage, he goes and says, I want more. And that sort of a watchman who stands with a big stick, you know, he bangs it and says, you want more? I mean, it's the ultimate sin to ask for more in that school. And it was a school for pickpockets. They had to hand over everything to that old man who ran the school. And this is more than a century old. You bow when you enter church. You bow when you go out. You walk with your face always facing the altar. Never turn your back to it. You remove your hat, and especially the men, ladies have to put on their whatever bonnet. There's always a certain sense of, because without it's nothing to do with the guru. I don't think the guru demands. As we said, if you have to meditate every day, you must have a special place for it. Meditate at the same time every day, so that even when you enter there, that inner sense of meditation comes, and you are ready to sit and start meditation. One day here, one day there, one day out in the open, because Buddha statue is lovely, Chariji. I feel transmission coming from him. You hear this often. And one of our preceptors in the US had a big dog sitting next to her. When I remonstrated, I said, you can't have a dog here. She said, but Chariji, she's so spiritual. And I said, when we can't have satsang with the dog in, she was furious. They care more for that single dog than for 40 people who have to sit and meditate in his presence. This is attitude. So, like Jesus Christ on the cross, we have only to say, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they are doing. They are too ignorant, too stupid, too primitive. Advanced nation, educated, cultured, eating the fat of the country, the world, yet primitive in this aspect. Once in Bolira Ashram, there was a certain problem. There was one single girl alone in a tent. And by mistake, one man who came, Abhyasi, he was assigned that tent. That night, the two were alone. This man has approached her. And she resisted. He said, come on, honey, just a little warmth. It's a cold night. Of course, it was reported to me the next morning. Nothing, no damage was done, fortunately, you see. This is the attitude. A little warmth, cold night. Any lights on, anywhere, for any purpose. Morality has nothing to do with it. As one man said, for heaven's sake, Chariji, it's another hunger. When I'm hungry, I eat, don't I? So attitude is as important, if not more important, than environment. Because environment we can create. You have seen the environment in this ashram, Manapakam ashram. You can see it in any of our ashrams. Some may be greater, some may be lesser. But it is there. Because we meditate. But attitude you have to create in yourself, each one of you, see. If you don't, if you think we are the greatest nation on earth, and so therefore we can do what we like, you will remain the greatest nation on earth, but low spirituality will be there, sir. This is the problem of developed nations, prosperity, advancement in so-called civilization where there is no civility. See? No good manners, 4 letters words to describe everything, even for God. Whereas for a word like Sugar Harry, Isaac Tom, they say holy. It's one of their phrases. So unholy things are holy, holy things are unholy. So what should we do to bring training to these people? A little sense of culture, a little sense of piety, of holiness, sanctity of a place. I saw a pair of sneakers being put into the wash along with the clothes. I said, you're putting this thing in? They said, it washes everything, it doesn't distinguish between sneakers and clothes. I said, will you take, for instance, your stools for examination? Suppose your doctor orders it, with the same spoon with which you eat. After all, it's washed. It can even be sterilized. Come on, Chariji, you don't ask that question seriously, do you? See? Again, that sense of what is appropriate is lacking. Any spoon will do. Oh, it was used for this purpose. Yes. Oh, well, you have cleaned it, haven't you? Okay. So from spoons to sugar to women, the same attitude. You know, it's a culture of use and throw away. Western culture. Therefore, millions of trees are cut down every year to provide this fascinating tissue, you see. Kleenex. It is not good to preserve it for a second time. I said, why? Oh, it's so cheap. It's only tuppence halfpenny per box, for a box. So consumption. As a society which has no honor for itself, has no cultural values, they misuse everything. Trees are missed, trees are cut down, forests are raised, tissues thrown away, one use, second use, lipsticks throw away. Perhaps the maid wants to see a full basket of tissue, used tissue. Otherwise they will think madam is poor. Who knows? I don't know. Somebody may ask, but Chariji, does this have anything to do with spirituality? You are yapping away all the time about these things. Yes, it has, because nature's resources must not be wasted, Babuji said. My master said, you have every right to take from nature what you need, no more. No more. You want to have water from the river? Take it. 10 buckets if you need. But don't store in your house when the river is running outside your house. You are earning ₹1,000,000, by all means, why not? Your capacity earns it. How much do you need? Use it. Let the rest flow. Flow means give it away in charity, do good works with it, feed poor people who have no food, clothe them. Oh, but I don't want to earn it, throw it away like that. So that when there's a culture of waste, charity goes a begging. Because I must have enough and more to waste, much more to waste. So 900 tons of cheese were destroyed in Holland. As I said the other day, it began with the Boston Tea Party, to my knowledge, where a shipload of tea was thrown into the Boston harbor. Otherwise, it would depress prices and the holy cow of profit, So we are sort of raping nature. It's adequately named, rape of nature. When we do these things. Anybody who has seen Lord of the Rings should see that particular sequence in, I think it is the third disc, Return of the King, where the Ent is coming and talks about damage to the forests, how Saruman used to walk here in the old days, now he doesn't come anymore. He has better things to do, says the Ent. Then when he sees the whole forest cut down in front of his Saruman's tower, he gets angry. And the rage that emanates when he boom, and all the Ents come, and they pick up rocks and throw it at Saruman's tower, break it down, break down the dam that is holding back the water, floods. Saruman has to run. That is nature's outburst, you see. It is not real that there are ends, but how nature will react. That's why Babuji said, live simply, be in tune with nature. Take from nature what you want. Nature will gladly offer it to you. But waste, nature will not allow. And some of these rich nations are. I have estimated, I once was in a German household, and there was a big loaf of bread like this. He put 3 slices into the toaster, 2 for me, 1 for himself. He took it out and religiously buttered one corner of the toast, ate it. I ate my 2 slices. I could have done with the third, but I didn't ask. Next morning, that rest of the loaf was thrown. They have a convenient dispenser system. They open it and throw it. It goes down a chute into the basement where the garbage is collected. Germany, high tech. I said, you are wasting so much food. Yes, but I can't eat yesterday's bread, Chariji. So you see, 3 slices out of perhaps 24 slices, 1/8. So for every mark they make, they only eat 8 pfennigs. There used to be pfennigs in the old days. I don't know if they still exist. And for this they slave and they earn 1 million marks. No. So you see how waste makes us need more and more money when we don't need more and more of what money produces or money can give us. This basic economic fact, Western economists have forgotten. Produce more, consume more to make more profit, so that there's more disposable profit, more dividends to people, more disposable income in the hands of the individual. Voila, the economy is growing. Everything is relevant to spirituality. What you eat, how much you eat. If you can do with 2 rotis, don't eat a third. If you can buy a shirt for 40 rupees, don't spend 400. These are all taught to me by my master. Why? Because you are wasting. Nature's resources are being wasted. And an increasing population consuming more and more of a limited resources of nature. Desertification, no water, no wood. Our president, Dr. Abdul Kalam, recently sent out a PowerPoint presentation which features a girl from 2080 sending a letter back in time to her parents. She says, you should see our world today. Nobody has hair on the head. Their water is rationed out. They're skinny because there's no water. They are unwashed because there's no water. People are dying because there's no water. There are wars because there's no water. And it has already been foretold, even last century, that the next century will be a water for war. Previous century was water for oil. The previous century was war for land. Previous century was a war for religion. See, religion, expansion of territories, oil, no water. And surely it's coming. So don't think spirituality only covers sitting down in meditation, muttering the prayer, a perfunctory evening cleaning, but if you don't do it unless your master is present. Night prayer, I don't know how many do before they go to bed. Night cleaning, they don't do. And then they write about nightmares, about sexual dreams bothering them. So many things. If you feel guilty for anything, your spirituality is going. Even if you feel, oh, I wasted water today. I had 4 buckets for my bath, whereas 1 would have been enough. Guilt doesn't have to be because you murdered somebody. Guilt is guilt for whatever reason. Like a man who has no money, he cannot say, I don't have 6 million. He doesn't have 10 rupees that he needs. It's enough if you don't have 10 rupees, no? It's enough to cause you misery. Yet Babuji Maharaj gave us the principle of illat, killat and zillat. He said without this there is no saintliness. He disliked the word sainthood, incidentally, because it says the hood of the snake, Saintliness. Illat, killat, zillat means a man should have a little less money than what he needs. Not too much less, little less. You need 100 rupees a month, if you have 95, it should be enough. Then you spend wisely, you spend what is necessary to spend on what it is necessary to be spent. You have 105, oh, you say, I earn more than I need. And there goes all 105 wasted. Next thing is you must have somebody to criticize you always. Fortunately, that has never been lacking. Nature in the shape of abhyasis. Because then it makes you examine yourself. Is there anything wrong? You become introspective. That alerts you, like a smoke alarm alerts you to a possible fire in the building. These critics help. And what is the third one? Less health than perfect health. Then you don't do foolish things like mountain climbing and skin diving and bungee jumping and what all. It is this exuberant health, caused by too much food, too much good wine, which makes you do these stupid things. I think because they are so effete and there's no excitement in their lives. So they have to do all these, suicidal things. I have a conviction that the Occidental civilization is replete with suicidal tendencies for one reason or another. Broken hearts, of course, there are millions of them. See, the Western civilizations, if somebody were able to take statistics, they would find broken hearts are about 70% of the population. Because their system of marriage, their system of romance, their system of, courtship, today is fraught with so much danger to the women, so much unpromising romance, so much painful romance, often ending in childbirth, when the man who proposed to her to be her husband for life just quits and says, I didn't bargain for this. She says, but honey, you also wanted a baby. He said, not now. It is frequently said that there are arguments in Western households whether we should have a baby or we should buy a car this year. And of course, car comes first. Next year, whether we should have a baby or we should go on a holiday to the Alps. Of course, holiday to the Alps comes first. No. I have a heart-breaking letter from an abhyasi who says when on a holiday, she had a 5-minute romance without her husband. And 3 years later, feeling guilt, she told her husband. Since then, they have been estranged. They have 2 children. She doesn't know when he will go. She says, I don't know when he will leave me because he feels so upset. But men have walked out of the lives of their women for much less reasons. When they are attracted to another nicely turned pair of heels. This is rampant. Whenever I go abroad, I have had meetings with girls, with women. And I remember early on in our people asked me, what is the importance of marriage? I said, it's very important. Yeah, but how can a piece of paper make such a big difference? That was the men. I said, then why are you afraid of that piece of paper if it's not important? Take it. You can always tear it. No, but Chariji, it is foolish to insist on these old-fashioned things. We don't really need marriage. I said, no, the way you are living, you have proved that you don't need marriage. But there's no stability without marriage. People I told you the other day, after 18 years of marriage, have told me we have our suitcase packed because we don't know when we come back whether the spouse will be there or not. Women have said it, men have said it. This is another consequence of the lack of holiness, sanctity, something sacred. That is also relevant to spirituality because such people are unable to meditate. They come and they are meditating over their misery. 2 children at home, the breadwinner gone. where am I going to get my next meal from? Social security, but that doesn't give you much. So inevitably, they have to couple with somebody else. Prepare for the second tragedy, prepare for the third tragedy. No? And of course, spirituality goes. When you have so many immediate, urgent things to look after, like who's going to pay my school bills, who's going to pay the wash, who's going to pay the rent, where is the place for spirituality? So unless we set right our lives, bring back order, morality only means order, it has nothing else to do. Morality means to me, don't waste resources. I told you about this another day, earlier on. Morality to me only means don't waste resources. Even if you waste water, it is a morality. You understand? If you waste food, it is even more immoral. If you kill to eat, that is towards immorality because you're taking life, whereas the Bible says, do not kill. But it is interpreted as, do not kill your brother. But then I told you about Cain and Abel, you know, the first murder, fratricide. So there's no sanctity even for the biblical, edicts, advice, orders, injunctions, God's words. So what shall we do? I repeat, our preceptors must be able to speak boldly about these things because without their speaking, nobody will listen. If they speak, of course you may do some abhyasis. When Babuji asked me, you must be disciplined, there is no discipline in this mission, he told me. I said, but Babuji, if you want to be more disciplined, people will leave. This was in 1982 in Paris, in that famous week, when everybody betrayed him. And then he told me, I don't mind if only you are left at the mission, because you are the mission, you are enough for the mission. Please don't think I'm praising myself or boasting, I have nothing to do with that. I'm quoting my master. He said, with you there, you can revive the mission. If you are gone, the mission goes, my mission in life is a waste. Sahaj Marg is dead. So you see, Sahaj Marg does not live by abhyasis. It is like as long as you keep a cow alive, it will have more calves. That's why in a situation where a mother cannot have a baby, either the baby has to be sacrificed or the mother, and the doctor asks the husband, I can only save one life. And he says, please save my wife's life. Not because of his love for the wife. That is not the first consideration. The first consideration is, baby gone, mother alive, we can have more babies. But mother gone, baby alive, nothing. That stream is cut. Similarly, on aeroplanes, I was first astonished when I heard, if there's a fall in pressure, you will have gas masks coming down. Put your mask first, then fix your baby's mask. I used to wonder, what is this? Then I understood, because if she were not alive, what would the baby do? Suppose you have time to put the mask on the baby, and you are dead. So preserving the mother, preserving femininity, preserving female honor, is a way of preserving society in a pure form, in an auspicious, holy form. Women have to be revered, not worshipped. In the Occident world, they are worshipped but raped. For them, rape means worship. Oh, I love her so much. And then you say, you read of paramours, killing each. He loved her so much, he could not tolerate her going to somebody else, so he killed her. Primitive law. What we cannot have, destroy. So unless women are kept in society with respect, unless they are respected as mothers, past or present or future to be, that society is doomed to create destruction. Swami Vivekananda said this in one of his very famous lectures, The Women of India. I would like all of you to read it. And he says one very great thing, which I have repeated so often, talking of prostitutes in Calcutta, He says, look not down upon these fallen sisters of ours, for if they were not there, you and you and you would be there. See, such is the glory of a land where women are respected, where marriage is a sacred thing, filled with love, not something filled with love, but totally, profane, disposable like a tissue, used and thrown away. So let us also teach our abhyasis all over the world that women have to be respected. Even prostitutes, because they are the safety valve of a society. It doesn't mean everybody should be a prostitute. Swami Vivekananda said, if they were not there, you and you would be there. Let us respect them. It's like a toilet in the house. It may stink, but if there's no toilet, the whole house will stink. So let us learn these common basic values of a society which should be really civilized and not falsely civilized because they are white, because they bathe, and because they use a lot of perfume.